1 year ago, I decided to pre-order the HaritoraX full body kit. Then 4 months later, it arrived at my dorm room and I tried it out for the first time. Since then, I've also bought the hip and elbow expansions and have been using them for about a year. I've had my ups and downs with Haritora, but I've recently moved on to other full body solutions. I'll explain why later, but I need to explain Haritora a little more first. Haritora is a $300 full body tracking solution that uses IMUs to track your position. Instead of relying on like a lighthouse to see the tracker, it tracks itself. And right now, Haritora is actually on their HaritoraX 1.1B variant. It actually costs $200 for the base kit, and another $150 for the expansions, which totals about $350 before shipping, for what is essentially 11-point full body tracking. And if you wanted to do this with Vibe trackers, that would cost about $1,600. You need to buy 8 of those things. For my year of using Haritora, I've been able to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm going to start with things that I like. Pros. And to be completely honest, Haritora does some things better than the Vibe 3.0s, which is kind of the industry standard. The first obvious pro is that Haritora is a lot cheaper and, well, at least in the long run. If you really search, you can get 3 Vibe trackers, 2 1.0 base stations, and straps, what else you need, for about $500. And Haritora is only $200 right now for the base kit, which is going to give you 5 trackers rather than 3. You can also use Haritora with just a Quest, where Vibe trackers, you need a PC. And this low price of entry means that there are going to be a lot of people trying out full body for the first time, so the software better be pretty damn good. And luckily that's true. I was able to get Haritora started, and all of the features on the app are pretty self-explanatory. All it really takes for me is like to turn on Steam, start the app, which it'll connect automatically, turn on the unit itself, connect your Bluetooth, and then calibrate. And calibrating can be started by just tapping down 5 times, so it's not that hard, and it just works. On the unit itself, I like how there's just one charging port for all the trackers, which means that even if you have the expansions, you only have one plug to plug into and not like a million different USB-C ports to go into. It also means that you can just throw a battery pack on your side and charge it while you play, which is what I usually did. And I would just use something that would charge my headset and my trackers. And you know, for this kit not needing anything to see the trackers, it does a pretty good job at tracking. Your body is mostly where your body is in real life, especially when you're standing normally, which is what you'll do 90% of the time. It isn't as good as Vibe trackers, but it does a good enough job to not look awkward. And if you want, I've heard you can even get OSC smoothing to help it look better, but overall the movement is pretty good. Something else that's kind of important to mention is Vibe trackers get occluded when you cover them, and Haritora can't be occluded, other than the feet, if you have that setting turned on. That means if you have like a long-range Bluetooth adapter, you can go pretty far before these things lose tracking. And it's a lot easier for people in small areas because you might not have space for a base station to even see your tracker.
Lots of hot babe pictures, you know, so we keep it real.
And it's not like the new Vibe trackers either, where they need good lighting or can't be covered. They just work. You can light however you want and these things won't lose tracking. With all this to consider, we have to now look at the bad and the ugly. Battery life used to be a pro with these, but with the added expansions taking more battery, the unit has gotten worse and worse with its battery life. It used to be around like 10 hours of use, but now I don't risk running it without a battery pack. Just doing a little showcase for you guys for 15 minutes took 10%, and that's pretty bad. So that means I have to have a large battery pack on my side the entire time, and this might not be so bad if I didn't have to have 8 large Velcro straps on my body with wires, along with whatever the tank top thing is with my elbows. And the trackers themselves are pretty light, but just having to have so much stuff on and all the wires and all the connections gets really uncomfortable and gets kind of sweaty, gets hot. And I mean, all of that wouldn't be too annoying if the trackers themselves were just really reliable, but sadly, that's not true. Wearing them for so long, I've become really picky about the accuracy of my trackers, and I would notice the trackers drift over a pretty short amount of time, like 2 minutes short. And that means I would have to recalibrate every like 5 minutes. And if you don't do this, your body starts to twist. And if I don't pay attention to what I look like in game, I'll sometimes just end up losing connection randomly. And this has started happening more the longer I've had it. This is mostly because Haritora relies on Bluetooth, which can be faulty. Compared to something like a Bluetooth mouse or a vibe tracker that has its own dongle to go with it, Haritora has to rely on Bluetooth channels through your PC that are either taken up by other Bluetooth devices or even other signals that aren't Bluetooth. Bluetooth is slower than how a base station track device would ever be, and it only gets worse the farther you go from your PC, so have that. And in really bad scenarios, I've had a problem where all the lights on the unit would just start flashing and the device would just stop working. And I'm not sure why this happens, but the only way to sometimes fix it is to either plug Haritora in or to unplug it and from the battery pack, to restart the app maybe, restart the unit, turn the thing on and off, restart my computer, just restart literally everything. And that works 75% at the time. It's only started happening recently, but it's not good. In the worst case scenario, your unit might just not work at all. One of my friends bought the same unit at the same time as me and found that her trackers just wouldn't track correctly and pretty much made them useless. She said that she tried everything she could, but they were just unusable. So in the beginning when I got Haritora, I was in a very small dorm room where I didn't have the room for like a setup with vibe trackers. And I had about an arm's length by half an arm's length of room. And Haritora was like the only thing that worked for me. It was a good stepping stone in the world of full body tracking that became something I couldn't play without. But the more I played, the more and more picky I got with how accurate the tracking needed to be. And I just wanted it to be easy from day to day because I would use it so much. And the charm wore off on me after about half a year and it became just a sweaty hassle. So I switched to something better. So then with all that, who do I think should buy these? I think that people who are in small areas or can't use a lot of their space would benefit a lot from these. And if you travel a lot, it might be good to have these as well. And I think if you're also someone who doesn't obsess over perfect tracking and if you just want legs, these are pretty good. And maybe if you want full body tracking without a PC, I know you can make that work, and this is probably the best route for that. However, if you have the money to spend on stupid stuff like legs in a video game, I would recommend something a little more serious.